employees, very successful SME, and I know you're growing. But just thinking about some of the stuff that we've just heard in this session, particularly around digitalisation, what does that mean for a company like Hardy Signs?
Yeah, it's daunting, to be honest. It's a subject that's, as an SME, we're looking at. You try and reduce the risk. An investment in digitalisation is a risk from our point of view, from a small company, because every type of investment is a risk at our level. But I think what was sort of key to me as I was thinking this through was that we don't have to, and as an SME, we don't have to go too big too soon. And a lot of digitalisation improvements that we've made in the last few years have been small and modular that we can build on. And I think that's the way we need to encourage some of the smaller companies to look at it and don't be put off by the visions of heavy investment and the ideas that it might be out of their reach. That's, I would say, from our point of view.
And just a quick follow-up, and again, it's not meant to be a trick question at all. Hardy Signs, do you engage with universities? What do you engage with for you?
We do. In fact, not particularly university, but close to us in Burton, we've got the Burton and South Derbyshire College, and back in 2016, a little bit like Phil mentioned, engaging with local schools, we decided, because of a skills gap, we decided to speak to them and develop essentially what we call the Hardy Signs Academy, which we advised them on a department where we introduced machinery that was specific to our industry and also worked along their product development courses. And we supported them in having our guys going to train them in various processes, and those guys coming to us to see how we work. And that's the sort of thing where it's been massively beneficial. I think we've had now 3 of the apprentices through that academy who are with us currently, and another 2 that are in process that hopefully will go full time soon. So that's the engagement, how the engagement can work with local education.
And it's great how it does work. I wonder, Patrick, just to pick up in terms of the chat just there, how does Hardy Signs currently make use of data, or how do you use it to inform decision making? Are you listening to this thinking, we're doing lots of this already? Are you listening thinking there's a great opportunity? Or are you listening thinking maybe down the line?
A bit of both, to be honest. Yeah, we're doing a little bit. We do have a CRM system, which I mentioned earlier. It's a sort of a modular system whereby the system as a whole can do every process in our business, from invoicing to ordering to what have you. But we've picked on in some individual models that are really key to solving problems immediately, and then we look further down the line as things improve and increase, we can add those modules on. I just slightly off the topic, but still on the topic. I was just sitting here thinking about there is a wealth of support, and there are partnerships available. There are a lot of avenues for SMEs, but the communication in terms of how they get that support is probably where there are some shortfalls. And I think there is a bit of ownership going back to the SMEs, because there are a lot of success stories as well. So there are SMEs who've done very well from these partnerships and the growth hubs and the funding, skill support. But these SMEs, they haven't got the time necessarily, like we say, to go to the events like this. It's a lot of, like Phil said earlier, it's a lot to come to an event like this for a small business. But those people they're talking to on a day-to-day basis, their customers, they can quite easily communicate to them how they themselves can benefit from this funding, from these partnerships, from this support. And that then becomes, as a growing network, everyone's benefiting from that support. And it sort of shows to the smaller companies and the SMEs who think they haven't got the time or the resources to look at that, or they think it's too difficult. Actually, these guys who we worked with for a few years, who are where we are, they've done it, why can't we, sort of thing. So I think there's some scope there for SMEs to communicate with each other in that respect.
That word network's key, and a quick plug for the new manufacturing networks that are being set up. Last few questions, and I will.
And I think you can also open that not up to just the customers, your supply chain as well. It would be really beneficial to bring in a lot of your supply chain to your manufacturing facility and show them what you do, what you're doing with their product, what you're doing, how they can help you. They can pick out bottlenecks and pitfalls, or suggest new materials. And I think those sort of events would be hugely beneficial. And they're not really as many as Gemma said. They're not as many as you'd hope there would be. We as a company we try and recommend and invite people to come in and see what we do. It is a big ask for a company of this size to set out a few days and the time to set that up. But ultimately, the benefit, it's clear to be seen afterwards, because you get a lot of feedback, a lot of positive sort of outcomes from that, which improve your processes going forward.
Will there be one final word to you then? Why is this agenda important to Hardy Science?
I think one of the things that was mentioned earlier was a slightly ageing workforce, I guess, and we are getting a lot of influx in younger apprentices who are coming through with a high knowledge of digital technology. And I think the importance is in bringing those through into the manufacturing world is for them to know how they can apply it into manufacturing at that very early stage. In fact, digital transformation in manufacturing could almost be a slight element to a course at the university, because then they're coming into those manufacturing plants and places with a pre-existing knowledge of how digital transformation can improve a company and what that looks like, rather than learning as soon as they arrive. I think one of the major technologies we've benefited from as a company in the last 2 years, and it's easy to say it, but it's video calling, video conferencing. It's something that we didn't use a great deal of, and it's not just about sort of managing to get to events and things like that. It's about communicating with your suppliers and communicating with customers that are across the world, across the globe. It doesn't necessarily need to be that we just can't get to you because of restrictions. It's now a case of we can use this as a process to reach a far wider audience quicker and easier, and it takes less time, which of course again is a major factor for an SME. So.
Absolutely, it's opened up new markets and